Hi, welcome to the Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors and I'm your host. And tonight, making his return, fourth
Fourth time.
I got Maverick Wild. Mav, thanks for coming on, man.
You lack better options,
Oh,
apparently.
no way. When I first started the show, you were one of the guys I had at the top of the list. You slick, you know what I mean? Jason Rumble was on that list. Jeff, who we're still waiting on. I heard that I'm better off going through Monica.
You probably are.
Yeah.
The one thing I can tell you about Jeff is he doesn't like to be in situations where he's not totally in control.
Right.
So he may, that's
Yeah.
why he does things online himself. But
Right.
He doesn't do a lot of this kind of stuff.
Because Sophia goes to my school, so I know I will bump into her eventually.
Yeah.
All right, so Matt, a few weeks ago, a female wrestler from the area, Delilah Hayden.
Yes.
It's no surprise, and Delilah's a nice girl. And again, none of this is that we're going to talk about now is out to bury her at all.
No.
Okay, just want to let everybody know that. So, she kind of made a few comments on Facebook that definitely ruffled my feathers a little bit. What bothered me on the post on Facebook, which was deleted by the said person, was that I am not doing this to make a living, so I have no desire to be trained. Am I remember that correctly? Something
that
like that?
sounds about right.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I don't even know if I saw the original thing.
Right. So I could go through it. I wish the post wasn't deleted so I could go through it word for word. But on top of that, I don't have a great memory. But before I get your take on this, I just want to say when I go to a pro wrestling show, I go and pay to see trained pro wrestlers, not untrained pro wrestlers. If I know there's untrained pro wrestlers on the show, I'm most likely not going to go. Because I don't want to see an accident happen.
Yeah. Well,
Because Matt, pro wrestling is dangerous enough with trained guys.
yes, it is.
You know? So what's your take on all that, Matt?
Well, so you should always, always, always get training. Don't bullshit your way on the shows.
Yep.
Don't get half trained. Don't go to a class. Don't go to fantasy camp and then go somewhere down the road an hour and tell them I was trained by such and such a person. That being said, I mean, there's several cases of people in the wrestling business that have made it
Yep.
without initial training.
Yeah, they say Joey Janela, right? I don't know that for a fact, but I had heard someone posted that on
I'm
it.
not familiar with Joey
Yeah.
Janela, but
It's pretty
I know
good.
the Hardy Boys,
Yeah.
really, they started without much training.
Yep.
And I mean, Chief Jay put them on TV with
Yeah.
underage.
Right.
So it's not that it hasn't been done, and it's not that there haven't been guys that started out without training that didn't develop into something.
Right.
But that's not the path you want to seek, and I think probably anybody who has done it for any amount of time and did it for, did it professionally, for one, I mean, if they did it professionally, somebody grabbed them along the way and said, listen, this is the way it's done.
Right.
And that is also part of the training, because you can go to class all you want to, but if you don't start doing it on shows, you're just a gym wrestler.
Right.
Okay. Two, you mentioned the safety aspect of it.
Yes.
All right. So I'm not fully cognizant of her full quote either, but I mean, just because you don't want to have a career in it, I never really wanted a career in it except for a couple of times.
Right.
All right. And I went and sought private training, and
Brian Walsh, correct?
it was, yes,
Yep.
Brian Walsh. And I always sought people to bring me along, because even if you don't want to make a career out of it, you can really, pardon my French, you can really fuck yourself up. And even worse, you don't want it hanging over your head that you hurt somebody really, really bad.
Yep.
It's one thing where I come in here and I'm limping in and stuff, and I have all sorts of accumulated injuries.
Right.
I can honestly tell you, none of them are from anybody else's doing. It's really just all the wear and tear and
Yep.
stupid things I might have decided to do over the years.
In your 30 years, pretty much closer. Was it 30 or close?
I think added up, it was more like 25 years.
That's a long time to be taking bumps.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I went live on Facebook earlier, like maybe 45 minutes ago. And what I'm hoping out of this, at least in her case,
Yeah.
is that when she goes to a show, like I said on Facebook, like let's say you wrestle for House of Bricks, you go to Brick House, maybe you go to his son's, and say, hey, can you guys show me some stuff? Seek a little guidance, a
Yeah.
little help. I'm not saying, oh, she needs to go get trained. Again, I'm not in the wrestling business. I'm around it. Or Sonny likes to call it business adjacent or something like
Okay.
that.
You're orbiting the business.
Yeah,
You're orbiting
I'm
wrestling.
not in it, and I make sure I let people know I don't think I'm in it because I'm not. But she's in the business, and I just don't want to see anyone get hurt, including herself.
Yeah, exactly.
I certainly wouldn't want to see her get
I don't
hurt.
want to see anybody.
Right.
There's very few people I want to see her get hurt, and
Yeah,
she's
I think
definitely
Scott
not one.
might be one of them that we both probably wouldn't mind seeing taking another chair shot to the head.
Yeah, but she's definitely not somebody. I believe
me
I
either.
met her once or twice.
I think I've seen her. Yeah, I don't think I had a talk with her other than like on Facebook Messenger after it all happened. She had said on the post, on another post, why don't you come talk to, to everybody, just talk to me. So I did.
Yeah.
And she seems very nice, and I have her coming on August 26th. And this way she said some of her words were misconstrued, and they possibly were. So she'll get a chance to tell her side and all that. She seemed like a nice kid. She really does.
Good.
So, Matt, we got a lot of fan questions. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you about, he's actually in the name game, so we're just going to call his name out now. Dylan Cage, who's going through a lot with his family and stuff. I know you wrestled against him. Did you team with him also, too, ever?
I wrestled Dylan probably about half a dozen times over the years. I wrestled a very, very good match with him in this tiny little hall in Connecticut one time.
Right.
And I had never worked with him. I had seen his work some, and I thought it was good. And then we just, we happened to tear it up that night really well. And then we went back to the same place a month later, and it was me and him and Mikey or Mickey Whipwreck in a three-way match that was just total. Like I would watch this match now and I would go, this is a shit. I can't watch this stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't penis spots, but I mean it was just at one time I took a DDT on an inflatable killer whale.
Right.
At that point Whipwreck was just, looking to get by, and I don't blame him, but and but I mean Dylan's a really nice guy.
Right.
Sometimes people found him a little off-putting because he was a self-promoter.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I don't know why people are off-put by that because wrestling is a business of self-promotion.
Right.
But but I always liked Dylan, and I feel so bad about the child.
Little Dylan, he's a fighter though. That kid, huh? He really is.
Yeah, he really is. I mean.
He had posted, it was like he was in the hospital for 110 days. I think he went home. And the only reason I brought it up because I knew you had wrestled him and stuff. Yeah. And I just wanted to say I'm glad to see your son's home. I wish you guys nothing but the best. You're in it's a tough situation. I have a special needs stepdaughter, so it's tough.
It is tough, and this one's even tougher.
Yeah.
It's so,
yes.
Not to make it morbid, but there's a mortality issue in place there.
Yeah.
And I remember I can't look at that stuff and look at my own kids and realize how goddamn lucky I am.
Me too. I got 3 kids, and I mean, they're all very healthy, beautiful, smart. I'm blessed in that aspect. But I just wanted to say that then wish you guys nothing but the best. And your son is quite the fighter, man.
Yeah.
And he has they're twins.
Yes.
So he's always going to have his brother right by his side to help him with things. So just wanted to say that, Dylan, Let's get into the questions.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to ask this one. I'm not going to. Sorry, Bear. About pedicures.
Oh, no, you can ask. I don't care about pedicures.
He wants to know what you have against pedicures.
I have nothing against pedicures personally.
Yeah.
I have big, gross feet, and I wouldn't want anybody handling the things.
Right.
It's my interest in saving humanity against my feet, really. I mean, I have long been known as, like, I have size 13 feet, and I'm walking around at, 5'9", 5'10". Nobody wants to handle these gross, flat, hairy things.
It's got to be I'm sorry, but it's got to be one of the worst jobs to handle, playing with people's feet.
Oh.
My oldest daughter has like a phobia of feet. Oh. She could never do the job. I remember when she was little, I'd like put my foot on her leg, and she would flip out, jump up, run, stop it, Dad.
And of course, that would make you stop.
Of course, yeah. So then my son would do it to her too. I mean, it was great. Kid Crazy wants to know, This will never stand up. Oh, it's about. Did you see the match I posted on Facebook of you and
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So that was you against Antonio Thomas.
Yes.
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 He said that on that post about that match. This match will never stand up to the heat they had in the building the first time that you guys were. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That was
Tell us a little about that.
I remember that a lot because I remember Tanya Cornell holds a lot of these
Right.
tapes.
Yes.
And at that point, it still would have been a tape, I think.
Right. Oh yeah, VHS tape.
VHS or
Yep.
at the very early,
Yeah.
DVD stuff. But so it was part of a 2-match set.
Okay.
And we did. He's definitely right. We did a match a month before. It was in Ludlow, Massachusetts, same hall, Knights of Columbus, I believe. And it was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And we had them really on the edge of their seats. And we did the old 15 minutes, and I was a champion. And
Yeah.
he didn't
Were you the
pin me.
face or the heel?
I was a heel.
Okay.
I usually preferred being a heel.
Right.
It's kind of, it was at that point in his career, it would have been very
Right.
hard to be,
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
very hard to not be a heel.
Definitely.
Besides I had that stupid bleach blonde hair. I mean, it looked thoroughly hateable. My kids used to call that uber blonde.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, yes. Uber blonde. Love you, Taylor. Anyways, and no, we really kind of tore down the house that
Nice.
night. And so we came back with it, and that match was still good. I can note that in watching that match, I can see certain points in in that match. I did things to protect my knees already, So I also look back at a lot of old matches and feel depressed. It's like I cannot believe I used to weigh that little. What I remember about that was Tom was just starting to come into his own. He was
Right.
he's always been really, really
He
good.
is good, man.
But I've always pestered Tanya to put that first match up
Right.
because she does have access to it,
Yep.
and she keeps. She tantalizes me with, maybe I'll get to it this week. And Tanya, would you put the damn match
Yes,
up?
Tanya.
I know you got nothing else to do with the Beyond Wrestling stuff and the 92
Right.
shows you attend a week.
Yeah.
But get on that, huh?
She actually taped the whole Pro Wrestling Marathon thing there that Spencer had put on.
God
And
help her.
unfortunately
Yeah.
for me, I spent more time prepping up because I was catering for the boys too.
Mm-hmm.
And then he canceled the Sunday show. So the Saturday night show, I didn't see it all. And I wish you would put it up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or I'll buy it off her. Buy a DVD off her because I want to see it.
Yeah, but I mean, she's so busy with everything.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I bust her proverbial balls. It's just,
She's good at what she does, though.
She
like you
is.
said,
She's
she's
been doing it
up
for years.
at the Beyond probably every Wednesday. And I haven't
Yes,
been up
she
there
is.
yet because I'm getting old and I don't like to be up late.
Wednesday nights are tough, but
Yeah.
getting back to Tom though, I mean,
Yeah.
he's doing very well there.
Yes, I think he had his last match at Pro because when me and Sonny saw him at the Fan Fest,
Yep.
he had said he only had a couple more shots and then he was done for a little bit and then he might come back again later.
I know a little something about it. I'm not giving anything away.
Oh, yeah, no.
But I mean, it's, and I used to have trouble understanding the internet's and YouTube channels and
Right,
things
right.
of that nature. And now that I get it a lot more, I guess he's really that's a whole viral thing for him where he's been very,
Yeah.
very, very one of the most over things on those shows.
Yeah, I guess he's playing like a nerdy character.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd like to see some. I definitely
Which is-
would like to see him wrestle in that character.
Which is funny to me because the first time I ever met him, he was as big as a house,
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, he leaned down so much over the years. I mean, he
Yes.
got to the point where I was probably bigger.
Right. And he's always been, like you said, so talented.
Oh, incredibly. I mean, if there's ever been a case of anybody that shouldn't have missed,
Right.
it's him.
Right.
I've never.
I mean, he was there for such a short time. And,
Yeah.
And I thought they were doing really well, too.
Yeah.
All right, well, Tim Murray, who is Timmy Kilgore?
Yes.
Okay. He says, could you tell the story of the first Best of New England tournament?
Oh my God. So
Now, who was the promoter for that?
that was a guy named Josh Jackin, I believe his
Okay.
name was. We're going back into the really early years of internet stuff,
Yep.
where there used to be this website called the New England Independent.
Oh, yeah, I've been on it all the time.
Okay. Yep. And that was really my first forays, and I knew the internet was going to be big on the smaller level,
Right.
as far as promoting yourself. I probably tried it way too early. You
Okay.
know, it wasn't developed enough yet.
Right.
But but they held a tournament, and it was up in Maine, someplace. And
I think you're right. It was
and I remember it was at an armory, and it was so hot in the building, so hot. And I remember, oh God, I was told ahead of time, you're going to have 3 matches this night, in the middle of summer, and
Right.
you better make sure I'm in shape, which I was always in shape at that point in my
Yeah.
life. But they were taking like resting heartbeats and stuff like that.
Oh, no
They had
kidding.
some unreal low number, like
Right.
54 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really it's like because I had to go, I had to wrestle guys like John Walters.
I was gonna ask you, who did you wrestle then?
Adam Booker,
Yep.
I believe,
Wow.
was the first match. Demon Ortez, the second one, and then I finished up with John Walters.
Wow.
And like Adam worked a little slower.
Yeah.
But those other two, wow,
Yeah.
and then we went about 20 minutes to the last match with me and
Right.
John, and even John, who was one of the few in the area at the time, was at least in the shape I was,
Right.
and he was a little younger too.
Yep.
Even he was like, I thought I was gonna die. It was so
Now, did
hot.
you win the tournament?
I did. Yes,
Nice.
I did.
Cool.
And then 2 weeks later, I broke the trophy over Dr. Heresy's head.
Oh, your old mind over matter tag team.
Oh
partner.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. I have a question. I remember the match you had with Jeff at Nashua High School.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, the show was a fundraiser, I think.
Yes.
Where former Red Sox manager Butch Hobson was the special guest referee.
Yes.
So Dan Bolia, this is going to be part of your question too. How was it having Butch in the ring with you guys? On a side note, I remember you guys laying it in
Oh yeah.
pretty hard. Is that for Butch?
No.
No, that's just how he's wrestled.
Not always.
Okay.
Not always with Jeff, but
Right.
I mean, this is Jeff's hometown.
Right.
You
Right.
know, there was a good crowd there. It was important to him because he always liked a little celebrity
Yeah.
interlacing there, and Butch was a really nice guy.
Yeah,
He
I
was
bet him too. He is a nice.
smart guy, really quick on the pickup. Had a little bit of a cocaine problem when he was a coach, apparently, which is too bad. But
Right.
yeah, we did lay it in because that's the way Jeff wanted me to. And I remember I used to do this clothesline deal in the corner, and I hit somebody, and I'd basically it'd almost flip out of the ring when I hit it.
Oh, okay.
And I'd land, and that's why this finger's that
Oh,
crooked,
wow.
because I dislocated
Yeah.
it one time working with Alex Arian. And
Another great word.
yeah, yes. But I remember it was the only time I ever really, I hurt myself plenty of times doing it. It was the only time I ever really caught anybody else with it. I hooked him under the jaw, and I thought I ripped his head off.
Right.
And normally that was like grounds for Jeff killing you.
Yeah.
But he was just so fine with everything because he wanted that match to be
Right.
tight. He wanted that match to be good, which, seems ridiculous on its face because I remember he came out with his dogs and he was,
Yeah.
he's a 300-pound lobster man.
Yeah,
but,
with the claws.
See, but that was the thing. I had a bunch of matches with Jeff. Jeff was like, he just, as much as he maybe wanted to screw around a little more, he didn't want to. When he got in the ring with somebody who could go really good, and now I'm bragging, I can go really good.
No, you
but,
could, believe me, you could.
But he didn't want to slow him down too much,
Right.
and not even so much slow him down, but he knew he wasn't going to go 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
So he had the other end of things. You're just going to hit like an atomic bomb,
Right.
And that's what we did.
Nice. And a lot of people don't know, like we both know, all the great things he did in the territory days up in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Me and Sonny talked about it here too, and I know we did. Just amazing stuff, man.
Yes, yeah.
Bruiser Costa was awesome, and the guys he teamed with and he took on. I mean, the Santa Claus thing. I mean, just guys, if you haven't seen it, man, go on YouTube and look up Bruiser Costa. The stuff is phenomenal.
I think you can even look it up as Bruiser Claus and it comes up.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. All right, next question's from, actually, I got a couple from Sonny.
Okay.
Sonny said, did you find Jeff agreeable to all of your booking ideas? If not, what was the one angle that you fought for that Jeff didn't want?
Oof. I can't think of a particular angle.
Yep.
I can say anytime, basically, I wanted to put, sorry, Bob, when I wanted to put Bob Evans in a more prominent position.
Yep.
Jeff found him just unprofessional
Right.
at times, and he just, he really didn't like it. And, Bob did himself no favors because sometimes he behaved that way.
Right.
He wasn't, you had to be very adjustable when you worked with,
Right.
with Jeff. And, and I remember he screwed something up one night. I mean, it was the most totally ridiculous thing. It was my idea. So we made up this thing called the New American Militia.
Okay.
And it was actually just a way to try and get Bob over, you
Right.
know. So, because I guess Jeff he would always be in Jeff's doghouse,
Right.
And I'm like, well, here's something that's goofy enough that Jeff is gonna like,
Yep.
and I can get Bob in it, and I'll wrestle Bob, and the matches will be good, no matter how silly the premise is.
Right.
So we did this thing. It involves a lot of dumb mistakes on my part. I had never gone through a table before.
Okay.
So put that in the background. Okay. So I came out and did an interview and said that, I was still a heel at the time, and I was like screaming at the crowd because somebody had wrecked my car and had taken a knife and stabbed a note that said, "Beware the New American Militia." And I want to know who did it.
Right.
And then Bob Evans runs out. Okay. So I made a table specifically for this, right? I didn't know the gimmick to the table is, you hear people say, you got the main supports and stuff like
Right.
that.
No.
That's like the worst thing you could do as far as
Really?
I'm concerned.
Right.
Maybe they make them different now,
Yeah.
but back then they used to be cheap.
Right,
What
yeah.
they used to do was they actually used to slow your fall down to the floor.
Right.
So I made this table that would we made sure nobody touched it because
Yeah.
this thing would just collapse if
Right.
you looked at it wrong. And it was a good thing I was wearing a leather jacket because Bob pitched me through this thing and it went everywhere. I thought I was going to die. It hurt so much, But then, I don't know, he was just supposed to show up the next, 2 weeks in Hudson with, camo gear, and he
Yeah.
didn't have it, and Jeff was pissed.
No
He
wonder
wouldn't have-
why he was in the
Well,
doghouse.
actually, you know what? I'm forgetting the part that when he threw me through the table,
Yep.
it was the one and only time my wife has ever been involved in anything. She came out and just started screaming her bloody head off, and then Bob and somebody else kidnapped her.
Oh!
So we kept her kidnapped
Yeah.
for 2 weeks later.
Right.
Bob's driving around the streets of Seekonk with my wife in the trunk of his car or
Oh,
something.
that's funny.
But he kind of blew it. He didn't come, dressed for the occasion
Right,
the next
right.
time. And Jeff's like, just kill it. And I said, I'll do something with it. And then I went out and frankly beat the shit out of Bob. But that was, and he would ixnay a lot of stuff with Bob. That was
Right.
pretty much it.
I remember the first time I ever seen Bobby, he was working for Jeff in Hudson, and he was doing the centerfold gimmick with the disposable camera. I mean, I just found that hilarious because it was a disposable camera, and there he is laying on the ropes, like this. What is it? You know what I mean? Laying down. Oh, it was
And
hilarious.
that was probably Jeff's idea.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, that's the other thing Jeff always said. That's the ugliest son of a bitch I've ever seen around. But then he had Congo Boy and he topped it. So
Right. Well, and he didn't tell me he should wear a mask like he told Tony Roy.
he did wear a mask
Oh.
actually at one point. He was for some shows after Wolfman was running the
Right.
thing. He was like the Bullet or something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Sonny also wants to know, back in 1993, there was a local Fall River wrestler. I actually know who he's talking about, Bobby Moran,
Yes.
that was murdered along with his wife and daughter. And
Yes, I think
they
it's-
they were killed by his own son.
Yes.
Did you ever work with Bobby at all? And if so, do you have any memories of working with Bobby?
Bobby he got started at 35, 36
wow.
years old, which is late.
Yeah.
That's real late.
Yeah.
And he picked up
Nice.
really, really, really quick.
Right.
So I want to do a match or two with him. So I got in a match with him. And you ever read Mick Foley's book where he
Yeah, actually.
He used to he's had several, but he used to.
I read them all.
He always loved Terry Funk's punches,
Yes.
and he could never say, "Wow, I can't wait to take that punch. It
Yep.
looks so good. I want to see the secret of it." And the secret was it hurt like fucking hell.
Right. Yep.
That was Bobby Moran's secret. Oh boy, he hit you. It was
Yeah.
because he was taught, and rightfully so. When you start off,
Right.
you better hit hard because you're not going to know how to do it gentle and correctly.
Do you know who trained him by chance then?
He would have been trained by a menagerie of people down in New
Okay.
Bedford. I mean,
Right.
there were so many people in and out at that point. At that point, I think Phil Apollo was doing the booking.
Okay.
And so I think he was doing a little of the training, and then maybe Silvano Souza had some part in that, but I don't think he was there at that point.
Right.
So I can't really tell you exactly who trained
Right.
him.
I have a New Wave Wrestler magazine. I don't know if you ever saw it, but they have an interview with Bobby in there.
Really?
Yeah, I just picked it up and I remembered the name. I remember what had happened to him. It was a pretty cool little. I don't know if you're familiar with the New Wave Wrestler.
Yes.
A lot of interviews in that magazine, which I really like that a lot. I like
And somebody obviously local
Yeah.
around here was
Right.
involved in that.
That's awesome.
Because I remember Phil Apollo would show up in that, and a lot of
Yeah.
local guys. Scott Taylor.
Apollo is so good too.
Yeah, I love Phil.
All right. So, Sonny, one more for Sonny. Did you ever have any interactions with Silvana Souza, positive or negative?
Mine were mostly positive.
Yeah.
He was one of the people I grabbed to kind of try and mentor me
Right.
to some degree. You
Yep.
know, there are guys that will curse that guy,
Right.
and there are guys that will support him.
Right.
I will support, but you know what? The hell with it. I'm going to tell a story,
All right.
and it's for a guy that I feel surprisingly positive about. And this is going to bite a few people that people look up to a lot, actually.
Right.
So, Silvano Souza, Fred Sparta.
Yep. Is that Mike's brother?
I don't know if that's a real thing.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, but a Fred who used to run dojo shows.
Yep.
And Steve Bradley were running a hall in Manchester, and they it is a bad story. So Fred thought that Jeff was trying to sabotage his shows.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe tore some posters down. I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, I don't know if that's the nastiest thing you can really do.
Right.
Okay. But Souza had a history with Jeff going back several years, and it involved Al Tomko in Vancouver had pulled out of the NWA.
Okay.
And he wanted a world champion. I don't know if I've told this story
No,
here
I don't
before.
think you did.
Okay. So they Al Tomko wanted to bring in somebody as a world champion from nowhere. This is before the internet. So,
Right.
So he brought in Silvano Souza to Vancouver as like the UWA champion or something like that. And the whole reason for him being up there was to get beat,
Right.
And apparently Souza wasn't let in on that. So when they beat him, he was like,
He wasn't happy.
he wasn't happy at all. Not so much. I don't think he was so unhappy they got beat.
Right.
I
Was
think
it Jeff that beat him?
it might have been.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure on
Right.
that one, but I know somebody did.
Yeah.
And they wanted to send him packing, and he got kind of mad. So they used to do live TV up there.
Okay.
So apparently Souza stormed on the live TV and started trying to cut his own promo, and of course they just cut the camera off and
Exactly,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So he was kind of embarrassed by that, I would imagine.
Yep.
As anybody would.
Right.
So he kind of had heat with Jeff because he would always bring that story up to everybody, And so it gets. So we fast forward. Things got dirty. I mean, I remember I got called by Fred Sparta, and he told me straight out, it was the dumbest business idea ever, that he was running the Hudson Lions Hall. He had booked it the day before a Jeff show. He had booked Bam Bam Bigelow and Rick Martel on the show.
Wow.
But he was doing this with like about a week and a half, 2 weeks advance notice. So it's not a good business plan
right.
at all. And he's telling me this over the phone, and I was like, oh, okay. And I had been working for Fred at that point.
Right.
So I said, oh, okay. And they had been arguing back and forth, and there had been tension. And so I got off the phone and I called Jeff. I said, well, I made a decision a while ago that I was gonna go with the first person that did, who stayed the cleanest, and that was really dirty. I don't care if you've ripped down posters or whatnot. That was pretty dirty pool.
Definitely.
So it went on how it ties into Bradley, unfortunately. and this may upset a few people. So you go probably another year later, and they're running a hall in Manchester, and they're still accusing Jeff of ripping down posters and stuff, and they're complaining to the New Hampshire Wrestling Commission. Sorry, Steve, I'm revealing whatever. I'm not a wrestler anymore. So
Right.
this
We
had to been.
cannot book you.
This has been about 20 years. Well, I'm talking Steve Boucher at this point.
Oh, okay.
We got into this meeting, and it was Sousa and Steve Bradley,
Yep.
me, Jeff, and Rip Morrison. Okay?
Yep.
And so they were going to try and quell the waters,
Right.
because they were acting like it was the territories, these guys.
Yeah.
And so they got to arguing, and and then Sousa made a comment of, he's looking at Rip and he's pointing at him. See, this is how his wrestlers act. This is a licensed professional wrestler in this state. You're going to allow this? So Rip stood up, and this is the day I think I fell in love with Rip Morrison. He stood up and goes, "Oh, the problem is I'm a wrestler? Okay, no problem." He goes into his wallet and he takes out his wrestling license, because they used to give out licenses.
Right.
And he rips it up and he throws it in his face. And he looked at Steve, and it was, I can't remember his Bobby. I can't remember his last name now for the life of me. There were two commissioners, and Bob did mostly the boxing.
Right.
Rips it up, throws it in Sousa's face, and he goes, "There, I'm not an effing wrestler anymore. You don't have to worry about it." Okay, and he's saying that to the commission.
Right.
Then he turns right at Sousa and Steve, and he looks at him and he yells and said, "If you fuck with this man one more time, I will fucking kill you."
Wow.
And Sousa, who doesn't really know Rip, is like, "I can't believe can't believe." But Steve's looking like, "Oh, I know this guy. This is serious."
Yes.
You know.
One guy you don't want to get mad.
But I mean, again, another reason I fell in love with Jeff is Sousa. He can't talk to me like that. And Jeff just goes, "He just did."
Oh, I can see that too. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. That's a great story. And I love Rip too. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I really would have loved to have had him on here before he went and moved on to Florida.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Sonny does have one more question.
Okay.
He says, when you were working for the WWE, did you hang with the enhancement talent? Or were they in separate dressing rooms? Were they treated well by the agents?
It really all depended. I
Yep.
mean, the first time I went down, a couple times I went down, I went in a van with, I don't know if you remember his name. I think it was Sonny Blaze was his name.
Yeah, I
He
remember
used to-
Sonny Blaze. Yeah.
He was,
He worked for Smoky Mountain, I think, too.
he was supposedly Pat Patterson's boyfriend at the time.
Boy toy.
And I think, so he was in charge of getting guys down
Right.
to TV. So, we all hung in a van,
Yep.
And then I remember I went down one time, I think it was Rick Fuller and Rever Redemption were in my car. I had this old Chevy Cavalier, and I had about 1,500 pounds of human in the back,
Right.
not counting myself. I don't know if I'm going to make it. But, and then I would go down a lot with Phil and Scott Taylor after that point. So I would hang out with them, and we would meet up with some of the other guys and
Yep.
stuff like that. You don't know fun till you've seen the Bushwhackers at a Sizzler.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's something else.
Right? That's hilarious. Now, did you guys have your own dressing room, or?
No, it was pretty much a broad area for
Okay.
everybody. Very few people had their own dressing room. Hogan,
Right, yeah.
and then a lot of times they would try and rib the guys. "Oh, that's Hulk's locker room over there. It wasn't even on the TV."
Right. That's
But
funny.
no, not many people. Vince McMahon, of course, had his own dressing room.
Right.
I once saw Vince McMahon accosted at a Raw at the Manhattan Center one time by some very fat, stinky wrestler who was
Really?
trying to get himself booked, and Vince had him escorted off the property. And
Nice.
no, you're pretty much mixed.
Yeah. Kid Crazy wants to know, this is the first of a bunch of them here from Crazy. If it were you, and Flash Fahrenheit and the Skunk on a sinking ship, and there are only 2 life jackets, who would get them? I don't think you're going to like this answer, Crazy.
Well, I'd give the first to Flash.
Yep.
and I'd put the second one on, and then if it failed me, I would float around on your bloated dead carcass, Jared.
I knew you were going to give one to Flash because I know you guys are friends.
I love the guy.
I know
always
you do.
have.
He also wants to know, why did I wake, this is him saying it, why did I wake up in Portland, Maine one morning and check my MySpace to find a note from you that I was no longer welcome at your shows after working for you the night before while I was still your champion? Do you remember that?
Yeah, he went on with that question and said it was because he thought he had a bad match or somebody
Right.
or something. He was, Jared always kept things really, really, he was on the edge with how he garnered heat as a heel, and he was spitting on somebody, and I just, I was like, no,
Yeah.
sorry, and he had been warned a couple of times about,
Right.
being too far into it, and
Yep.
so that was just like, that was the last straw. I was so mad that I didn't want to talk to him personally.
Right.
That's why that happened, you know.
See? Got to be more professional there, Crazy. Just
Still,
teasing you.
one of my favorite guys ever to wrestle.
He was good, man.
He was.
Really was. Nathan Fuller, a good friend of mine from the show, of the show. What do you guys think of AEW? I thought it was good. Whatever, it's good. But what do you think about all
I've
that?
only watched snippets of it.
Yeah.
I like that it's well financed. I like
Yes.
that it seems to be very good television. I think people tend to rave over it a little too much.
I think so, too.
So I think I saw the match that everybody's seen. It was Cody and Dustin Rhodes.
That was great
So
match.
it was really, really good.
Yeah.
As I would expect from those two.
Right.
The only thing I didn't like about it, and who am I to critique those two, and I know they're going to jumpstart everything, but it's like, I mean, Dustin was bleeding all over the place.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if I smashed my brother over the head with a log and it was bleeding
Right.
half to death because of what I did, I don't think my first inclination would be to say, we get a tag.
Right, yeah.
A minute after after I made him bleed like that.
Right.
So that part I don't like, but I also understand they have to jumpstart that thing
Yeah.
to some degree.
I was over Sonny's house watching that show. He invited me over to watch it. And honestly, that match, I really love the Pat Patterson Sergeant Slaughter match,
Yep.
the boot camp match.
Yes, that's
And
incredible.
I'll tell you, man, that after watching that match, I said it right to Sonny. I said, man, that's up there as good as Patterson.
The
You know
match,
what I mean? And Slaughter.
in and of itself, it was an incredible match.
Yeah.
If
Great story.
Yeah, and yeah, the story going to it, I don't,
Right. No, I hear what you're
think
saying.
that
Yeah.
maybe could have found a different way to
Right.
present them. Because
Anything.
Because I beat my brothers half to death, and they beat me half to death, and we don't talk about it a minute later. You know?
Right. All right, Brandon Belanger, I don't know if you know Brandon, but he's training at the
Yes.
New England Pro Wrestling Academy. He says, what's the one thing that you really love about wrestling? He has two questions. That's the first one.
Love and actually hate at the same time
Okay.
now, because it used to be a lot more impromptu, I think, and I used to love just being able to go out there and, for the most part, wing it.
Yep.
I mean, you did talk over
Right.
stuff, but I was always, this may happen, this
Yeah.
may happen, or it may not happen.
Right.
And we're going to see how this goes.
Right, because as a veteran, sometimes you just play off the crowd, how they're reacting to things too,
And
correct?
I think, yes, and I think a lot of that's gone by
Right.
the wayside. It really
Yeah.
has, and and that bothers me. It's
Right.
why I can't really totally invest in watching it anymore.
Right.
Because that element out of it, it's not completely gone. I'm sure
Right.
there's people out there that can still do it. I'm sure, but it's just a lot of it is so, and some of it's due to necessity. I mean, TV times and things
Right.
of that with nature, and people reflect on local shows what they see on television. That's only natural.
Right.
But I just wish more of that was still around. But that's what I used to love. I used to love if there was a lull in the crowd and all of a sudden I just
Right.
did something stupid, or I just did something. I remember I wrestled a kid one time. I don't remember his name. And big scar right here, big huge scar. And it was in Hudson. And he had been doing a bunch of stuff to me, and I just whacked him one time with everything I had in that
Right.
scar, and the whole crowd just went, whoa! And I was like, yeah, see, that sounds simple and it sounds
Right.
stupid, but I loved reactions like
Right.
that.
And you were playing it off the crowd, like we were
Yeah.
just talking about. Nice. And here's one more question. Then there's a question about young talent in New England. I can't wait to ask it. But when you step inside those ropes, what kind of a feeling did you get? He's probably thinking, he's probably got some feeling when he steps through the ropes training.
I was always nervous.
Were you really? Yeah.
Every time.
Wow.
No, I was always nervous right before I went out, and
Oh,
then usually that just went away. And,
Right.
You know, I guess the feeling was I was ready for anything.
Yep.
You know, I was
Nice.
ready for anything. You know, I would try and sort through in my mind. All right, we went over some stuff, and you know, hopefully, you know, I can remember everything. But,
Right.
you know, but if I don't, I don't. You know,
Yep.
but I did once I went out to the crowd.
Right.
And especially as a heel,
Yeah.
I got in the ring and just an insulting jerk, you know. I really liked that feeling of,
Right.
all right, I'm going to pull him in. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
pull him in. I'm going to pull him in. I'm going to pull him in. And that's why not big on the non-impromptu kind of stuff.
Right.
Because you can't do that. It's harder to do that.
Yep.
You know, if you go from point A to B to C to D and, you know, it doesn't work from point A,
Right.
it's kind of hard to just throw it all out the window, you know, if that's what you only know how to do. you
Right.
know.
Adam Nessel wants to know, when you watch younger talent in New England, what is your biggest pet peeve? I'm going to just, real quick, I'm just going to say, I have a feeling he wants to know, like, your opinion on fake grenades and, you know what I mean? I forget. I think Dick Lane does something.
So a pet peeve to me is
Yeah.
is something different than something like the hand grenade spots
Okay.
and the penis spots
Right,
and
right.
you know even thumb up a bum spot.
Yeah,
I hate that. I think there's something intrinsically wrong
Right.
with that. I do. I'm sorry. There's plenty of people out there that probably do it.
Hey.
You know, and I'm sorry. I've always felt that way.
Right.
I mean, those are, you know, I hate things like that, you know,
Right.
and I was fairly goofy in the ring. I'd be
Yep.
the first to admit it.
Yeah.
But, you know, there was a cutoff point where you know, I don't like it. I just
Right.
don't. As far as a pet peeve, as things that annoy me that
Yeah.
probably aren't all that major, could we stop with all the fucking super kicks? Oh my God!
I
I
can't
know,
stand the
I
super
know
kicks.
it's not a finish. I know things have
It used to be a
progressed.
great finish.
Yes, and I understand things have progressed, and
Right.
you know, I understand the 1930s, a body slam was a
Yep.
finish, and things progress, and I understand that. But does everybody have to do one?
Every match.
Oh my God! Every match,
Yep.
multiple sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
That's part of the Young Bucks gimmick, actually, right? The super kick over and over and over.
and that's probably who popularized it, you know.
Right.
And you know, I just no. And you know what? It'd be fine if it stopped with them, I think.
Right,
But it's like everybody's going to do one,
Yeah,
and everybody's
yeah.
going to do multiples.
Right. I mean-
It's like the clothesline used to be in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s. It's like, knock it off.
Right.
Find something else to do.
I mean, Chris Adams and Shawn Michaels used it as a finish. They hit you with it once,
Yeah.
and it was all over.
Yeah, it was done.
Right.
Which I get. Doesn't have to be that way anymore.
Right.
But can it be, you know, like the DDT developed, where it's
Yep.
something you have in your back pocket to turn around a
Exactly.
match? Or
Right.
Only one or two guys on the show use it. Or, now it's like, oh my God. You can see, you can watch it. It's like, here it comes, here it comes,
Yep.
here it comes. Yep, super kick. Awesome.
Yep.
And your super kicks look great. Just, I don't want to see 30 a show.
Right. Now, this is from a family member of mine. Ref Rich Landon, how many times you been on Leo's show and how much did you pay him? Trust me, man, I'd pay him, but don't tell him that. How about Brian Privatera wants to know, how's Flex Lavender doing?
You know, he always brings us up.
Yeah.
Flex Lavender is a guy I had a match with in probably my second year in wrestling.
Just one match you've had
Yeah,
with him?
on ICW television.
Yep.
And he always brings that match up. And I used to go, God damn that son of a bitch with the Flex Lavender match. But I figured out why he always brings that match up.
Why?
Because he's mystified that I had a better match with somebody nobody's ever heard of in their entire life
Right.
than Brian's ever had in his entire life. And I was in my first and second year of wrestling. You suck!
See that, Brian? All right, Lawrence Lovejoy, what advice would you give someone that is considering starting his own promotion?
Find somebody else's money.
Yep. Right.
That sounds, you know, it sounds,
Get a money man, right?
well, get somebody else
Right.
to pay some of the bills.
Right.
I mean, and I'm not even talking, I'm talking dragging the guy over the coals financially. It's just, don't chance it all on your own.
Right.
I did it, and
Yep.
all I could do was run, very low budget shows because I was running on a very, very, very tight shoestring.
Right.
And that was the wrong way to approach it. Those times are gone. I mean, you need multiple sources
Right.
just to get started.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would definitely get involved with a YouTube channel. I would definitely set yourself up for things like that.
Right.
I'd have a professional looking website, and don't just, not just Facebook, and
Right.
don't just or Facebook or Twitter. Don't depend on just that.
Right.
Have something professional looking. I mean, my biggest mistake when I was running shows was I was running shows that I would have loved to seen. Just very,
Yeah.
here's a ring,
Yep.
go out there and work. I
Right.
used to tell my guys, I used to ask my guys, what is that thing we all wrestle on? And they look at me and they go, that's a canvas.
Yep.
You know who else works with canvas? Artists.
Exactly.
That's where you paint.
Yep.
Go paint a masterpiece.
Nice.
And it sounds very trite, but
Yeah.
but that was what I like to see.
Right.
Now you need the backdrop. Now you need everything else around it.
Yeah. Tommy Mack, who obviously you're friends with Tommy, when he was here, he was saying how, when he runs, he doesn't really have a promotion, but when he does promote, he was saying here how he likes to hit every type of avenue. You know what I mean?
He does. Now,
TV, radio, news, anything.
Now he does it a little different. He doesn't
Okay.
really need a lot of money people involved, but I mean he will tell you straight out. He runs 2 to 3 shows a year. He
Yep.
can put everything he's got into those shows.
Right.
So if that's what you're looking to do, you can run it on your own.
Right.
Just take his advice because I don't, as far as a guy who only runs a limited amount of shows, but gets the most bang for his buck.
He actually
he's
did,
an
because I went to
example.
that last one. There was a lot of people there, Matt. A
And
lot
you know
of
what?
people.
I got to tell you, I was a little skeptical because it was Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was Concord. I remember Jeff
Right.
got killed running in Concord
he?
several times.
Right.
Yes. It was just, it never struck me as a wrestling town.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, boy, that's a big chance. And
Yeah.
he pulled
And
it off.
He had.
Yeah.
It was easily over 500 people, honestly, easily.
Yeah.
And he did a great job. Real quick, if you could touch on this, and we got less than 10 minutes, and I kind of wanted to do the name game a little bit if we could. How would you rate Butch Hobson's skill as a referee? Dan Bolia.
For a guy who just never done it before, it was great.
Was it?
you
Yeah.
know?
Cool.
Oh, yeah. See, the good thing, well, again, it was me, it was Jeff.
Right.
We're out there just calling everything on the fly,
Yep.
and Butch was very acceptable to things like that,
Nice.
He asked us, you guys have anything planned? And we said, no. He said, okay.
Justin Giard wants to know, back in
Yes.
2009, you let a skinny little white Jewish kid train to wrestle. What was your favorite moment of his many stupid moments?
Oh, God. My favorite moment, we just call him Jewish Justin, because, well, he was Jewish, and
Yep.
his name was Justin. So, he's a nice guy. He's a nice
Yeah.
guy. But we wrestled up in the White Mountains at this place I used to run called the White Mountain Chalet, and I think it was in Berlin.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure of that.
Right.
So here, I loved it because I loved Jesse Scott. I loved Stephen Marriott.
Yep.
I've told the story about he's one of the toughest people I've ever met in my entire life. So Justin came up. He had probably about 5 or 6 matches at that point. He was a cheerleader at one point, so he was in fairly good shape.
Yeah.
He was small, but he's in fairly
Right.
good shape. And I don't know what he ate on the way up, but he did something to Stephen Marriott that annoyed him so bad.
Really?
And he went out there, and Stephen Marriott's this tall, and he's
Right.
just as wide, or he used to be. He's lost a lot of weight. But he went out there and gassed that kid to the point where he got back and he was vomiting in the locker room. I was like, yes!
That's awesome.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Because you'd look at him and you think, there's no earthly way this guy could outlast this kid.
And he did.
Oh, it was great.
Now, Justin stopped wrestling?
Yeah, he hasn't
Okay.
wrestled in a while.
Okay.
I had a whole crew of guys that was training from the Gardner area.
Yeah.
Guthrie McGuire, I think it's.
Okay.
Sorry if I got the. He wrestles an Irish kid, which he was Irish. He's very tall and thin.
Right.
And he was pretty good. And Justin was actually fairly good too. And
Was
then Adam. We used to call him Adam West. We made him into a ref, and he was another Gardner guy, and he
Right.
was actually very physically talented. I remember I threw him up, and remember Eddie Guerrero always used to take this bump where he'd come off the ropes and somebody throw him up in the air, and he'd land on his belly.
Yeah, yeah.
I did that to Adam one night, and I swear to God, I never thought it was coming down.
Really?
Oh, I was like. Anytime now, we gotta,
Right.
this is like the second match of the show. You've been up in the air for 5 minutes now. I thought he was caught in a ceiling fan. I don't know what the hell was going on.
Anthony Green's running a show in Gardner.
Yes, he is
On
that.
August 14th, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going to be selling my merchandise. I asked him if he wanted any vendors. I'm
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
looking
that
forward
was
to it.
Dr. Heresy and I actually ran that hall they're running,
Oh,
the
okay.
Eagles Hall in Gardner.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he was running it. I knew he was on the show.
Right.
I knew a couple other people, and
Yeah, it looks like good crowd. And he's bringing in guys that usually
Yeah.
don't work around here.
I
Guys like Cheeseburger,
Yeah.
just
But he's also
guys.
using Danny Miles, who I love.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember
Oh,
that's the
he's
first
great.
person that's the first person I saw advertised
Right.
on the show. And then I saw Anthony Green, and I didn't know he was. Again, the first time I heard he was running it, and I love Anthony Green, but I love busting his nuts too.
Right.
So I was like. I put the show up on my page. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna promote Danny, but not Anthony.
Right? That's funny. I get it. Dave Wells has it like he worked down at 0-1 in Japan before.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Like, let's play the name game. Crazy. The other two questions we'll ask. Maybe I'll send them to Maverick and answer them off here. Todd Graham.
Yes.
Name game.
Todd Graham was a very, very good trainee. The problem I had with him was just a lack of dedication to it. He went to my gym for about 12 weeks, I want to say,
Right.
maybe a little more, maybe a little less, and he got to the point where he thought he learned enough and just he wanted to run his own shows, and he does okay,
Yep.
doing his own shows, but I'll always have a kind of a conflict
Right.
with him because of that.
He actually asked me to put him in the name.
And he was potentially a brilliant performer. He really was.
Yep. Nice.
Closest thing I ever saw to Rip to begin with.
How about Aaron Morrison?
Aaron Morrison. There's a guy I never got a chance to wrestle over
Right.
so many years. Aaron was so good at wrestling other people and putting them over.
Nice.
And I actually like to compare him to me, but he didn't have the kind of that over the top personality.
Right.
So I would probably be the guy if we were on. If you were looking for one guy to push and one guy not, it would be me because I was just
Right.
so loud, obnoxious,
Yep.
and I was a walking, talking gimmick. But Aaron was really, really good, and he worked really, really hard. Very nice guy.
Nice. Now I was watching a match you had with Crazy today,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the referee was Holyoke Joe.
Yep, probably.
What about Holyoke?
I never personally had a problem with Holyoke.
Right.
He has run into many legal problems
Recently, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Plus, he has he was a hard guy not to make fun of. I mean,
Right.
he used to be on that Bubba the Love Sponge show sometimes.
Right, and he had the big giant Hogan tattoo.
Yeah, that's where
on
that's
his
where it
back.
came from. Yeah,
Okay,
they paid him to do that.
Oh,
or something.
really? See,
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So, okay,
Yeah.
wow.
yeah, and I never had a problem with Holyoke.
Right.
His legal problem started in Nashua many years ago because they pulled over at the Shell station on West Hollis.
Yep.
And
Right near Rip's old house.
yeah,
and Jim's
right,
old
yeah,
house.
right across the street. Actually, I think that's where it was.
Yeah.
And he decided to start throwing fake forearms at his girlfriend, and
Right.
somebody saw it on the camera,
He
and they
thought it
called
was
the
a fight.
cops. And all of a sudden, Rip's getting a call. Who's Holy? Why is Holyoke Joe calling me from lockup? Can you come bail me out?
And I mean, he's been going through a bunch of things recently. I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw the posts,
I don't
all
wanna-
those posts, but it is what it is. you
Yeah,
know? I
yeah.
have nothing against Joe. He's always been nice to me. How about you wrestled Adam Bomb? How was he when you get in the ring with Adam Bomb?
I was very, very green.
Yep.
You have to realize in the context of the time I was doing jobs that those guys weren't making crap for money.
Right.
And they didn't get paid for TV. at all.
Right.
That was considered their advertising. So I was green as hell. I
Yeah.
went out there and I didn't know how to take a power bomb, and that was his finish.
Right.
And he hit it with me, and they'd cut the match short, and
did they?
and I was like, I was scared to death of him because he had them stupid contact lenses.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, how was it? I was a fucking shit. Thanks. All right.
Now, he wasn't that much of a veteran, I would imagine, either, right back when you wrestled him. Because, I mean, I know he was, he'd
Well,
wrestled
no,
a few
but
years, but not a lot.
He's a guy who's trying to make a splash like everybody
Right,
else and make
right.
some money on
Yeah.
national TV. And
Right.
if somebody screws up, when you're that green to it, well,
Yeah.
not green, but you're that new to it, and you're trying to make that splash, that hurts you financially.
Oh, absolutely.
So sorry.
How about Brandon Locke, who just actually started, came back to wrestling?
Brandon Locke
a few
is my
months ago.
favorite local wrestler.
He's awesome.
I love him.
Right.
He's, I said that impromptu element.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that can still do that, and I will forever be in the debt of Ryan Drew and see if I'm going to pronounce his last name. Sorry, Caleb Seltzer. Is it?
Seltzer, I think
Yes.
that's what it is.
I think that's how it's
Both
pronounced.
can butcher his name. I butcher names
But they
all
were
the time.
booking Brockton, and they booked a match with me, and this was during that 1 year that I came back.
Right.
It was by far the best match I had was with Brandon Locke that
Nice.
night, and it is online. It was just really good. It was really simple, and he was just so easy to work with. I loved it.
He just won the New England title at Chaotic last weekend. Now, we'll go on one name. I wanted to bring this name up because I think this kid's incredible. I like your opinion on him. Christian Casanova.
Christian Casanova is an incredible athlete, and he is also very intelligent.
Yeah.
Which athletes are fine. You can't teach intelligence.
Right.
You could teach moves. But just instinct and intelligence.
Right.
He's got Triplicious in his corner, who's probably helping him out quite a bit. He's
I
been around
said that
forever.
as he has to be with all
Yeah.
his, you know what I mean? And again, nothing to take away from Christian,
Yeah.
but it must have been really good for him to have someone like that.
Yep, and
You know
even
what I mean?
Brian Fury said that.
Yeah.
I remember watching his interview here. So.
I think that I'm a huge fan of Killanova. I
Yes.
am. It's my second favorite faction of all time behind Special K and Ring of Honor. I love those. That was a great gimmick, I thought. Mav, we're gonna have to do this again.
Yes.
I'll put you in the rotation, and we'll get you in there.
All right, sure.
All right. Thanks for coming on again.
Love
Really.
coming on.
I love having you. Guys, that's it. We're out. Peace.